long story short, with October and all those, my parents, I told them, I'd like to do that. And they had a place at the Lakes of the Ozarks that they put a mortgage on to give me the money to buy what they were asked.
Right, yeah.
And like I said, there wasn't nothing back here but just bags of trash.
You didn't start out with this big area, right?
No.
Like a fraction of this is what you started with.
Part of that first wall there that we went through, there used to be a bar there.
Okay.
That guy that, it was called Leroy's Waldo Bar, and he got it in 1942 from a couple other guys who had it. They weren't doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept it 29 years. And he sold it to a guy by the name of Finley. And Finley Cornell, yeah. And he'd worked for him for 10 years and so on and so forth. So anyway, he ended up buying it.
Okay.
And he ended up marrying my sister.
Oh, wow.
And
A
it's
small world.
Both of them's fourth marriage. I said, 4 and no more. Well, after he had it, about 3 or 4 more years or something, he said he wanted to sell it. Well, here I had this business, and I thought, that bar, first time I went in 1967, a bottle of Budweiser was a quarter.
Oh.
And so, I don't know, I'd have a couple bottles. I'd come up at night and work at the shop till 10 to 12 o'clock every night pretty much, because I didn't know how to fix lamps.
Right.
And do things. Anyway, I'd have a couple beers before I come in here, and I just liked the place and the people going in there were really neat guys. And she wanted him to sell the bar, so I ended up buying it from him as they went down there.
Okay.
So I owned the bar and the lamp shop in the same building. I opened it up. They said they opened it at 6 in the morning, all those years,
Right.
and closed at 1:30. I said, nobody drinks at 6 in the morning. Well, it'd be packed by 6:30 because guys are getting off of night shifts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fire station down here, and I think it's still there. Those guys that get off at 6 in the morning, they're instead of go straight home, because they go home and they get in the kids' ways for making, getting ready for school,
Right.
taking showers and stuff. So they'd come in there. At 9:30, they'd all pretty much left, and it wasn't just firemen. There was other guys going to work and have a couple beers for them. Some of them.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about how, like, the Waldo and surrounding businesses have changed over the years that you guys have been here. You've probably seen a lot.
Oh yeah. When I first came here, there was a cat store right over here, right on the corner, and that was a big. Do you remember cat stores? Well, it was,
Then it became Skaggs, and then it became.
Oh, okay.
yeah, and then
It's right where the CVS is, and that's where it all
CVS
became.
moved back. That was a parking lot for the other stores, but the other ones were right here on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And
There were a lot, there's a lot
Was it?
more mom and pop shops, like
Yeah.
McLean's Bakery was next to us.
Right.
And they were, it was like a thrill, I mean, when people asked where you were, they say, we're next to McLean's Bakery, because they always knew McLean's Bakery,
Mhm.
you know, where they had it, so.
Yeah.
And a lot of your bars that are here, like Bobby Baker's, that's just, it's been there a long time, it's just been different owners all through it, it's, you know, going, so. They have with it, but, and there was a Mylan's, it was a department store, it's where the city gym is. And, that's where the kids went to go buy their school supplies and their uniforms and stuff. It was like that, and the Mylan brothers owned a lot of property here. And, they've all since passed away. I think there's a grandson left they actually, I think they finally, I don't know if they finally did sell the property to the gym, or if they do still own it.
that bakery, I opened this up at 9 in the morning. Bakery opened at 6. I get up here, say at 8:30 or whatever, sometimes even earlier. I couldn't find a place to park because it was just loaded with people going to that bakery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stand in line.
And anyway, it was around a little after 10 o'clock before I could get a customer in here. 'Cause they just had people lined up. And,
Yeah.
Nice to do, but they did it.
yeah,
The Romanelli's was a big restaurant over here for years. They used to have bumper stickers out that said, "Where the hell's Romanelli's?" that you would see out there. That was, And, you know, everybody was known for that over there, and they had a great, you know, restaurant there, bar, and it was there for a lot of years until the son finally sold it, but,
Yeah.
It's been a strong area. Waldo has stayed very strong,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nice.
Yeah.
I later kept the bar. I was the first bar in South Kansas City to start a 3 o'clock bar. In other words, you opened at 6 in the morning and closed 3 the next.
Oh.
And I go, that head of liquor control kind of talked me into it, because north of the river they've done that. He says, he said, I'm not for it, but then he says, now I am, because you tell people they gotta get out of there at 1:30 in the morning, there'd be fights and pushing and shovings and things like that. You tell someone 2:30 in the morning, well, we're gonna be closing, they're ready to go home.
Right.
And it kept that kind of trouble down. And I was the first one out here for quite a while. People start filling up the bar around 10 to 11 o'clock at night, leaving those other bars coming up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it did good.
Yeah. So how long did you operate the lamp shop and the bar before you stopped doing the bar?
I did the bar about 4 years.
Okay.
And the guy that I bought it from offered me more than double to get it back.
yeah,
'Cause
Finley
wow.
bought back.
he had divorced my sister.
The time when our business did really good was when we were here, the lamp maker, and then the light shop was down where the tattoo place is down. It's called the
Okay.
light shop. And then you had all the antique shops over here, and then you had Yates Furniture down the street. And what would happen is women come over, and Waldo used to have what they call Waldo Wednesdays. And there used to be the Wednesday magazine paper here, I don't know if you remember, that would go out. And almost all the businesses over here are advertising it. Well, women would love to come over here to do the decorate, because they go to the antique shops, the furniture place, and then they come here to get shades for their lamps or to get new lamps to go with things. You know, they did it and they look forward to that. It was kind of like around with, plus then they eat lunch at somewhere over here. So I would say that was probably like from 85, you know, into the late 90s that you had all that, I mean, our business really shot up then with it. It was a good
Okay.
thing.
And down here where Bobby Baker's was, that used to be a store, and a guy worked there. It was a grocery store in the 30s. And he delivered, people call their orders in, and there's a barn right back here. They had a horse and a trailer,
Uh-huh.
so he'd go get their groceries
Yeah.
and then go deliver them with the
Wow.
horse and wagon. And he did that for 20 years.
Wow.
And he lived up above that pharmacy thing. That used to be apartments up there. I don't know what's up there
It was
now.
a hotel, and they
Mhm.
rented by the rooms, yeah.
That guy that delivered the groceries with the team of, he did it so long, and he'd tell me stories, Old West type stories, you know,
Charlie
Mhm.
Joe.
yeah. And it was interesting, the things he told me about the Waldo area when he first came here.
Mhm. Wow.
So, anyway, but then someone bought it and put a wall down to it and put a bar on one side and whatever business wanted to be on the next side. That bar's been there a long time,
Mhm. Wow.
so.
You've definitely seen a lot coming and going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, next door here was a kosher meat market, and now it's a bar.
Everything
But
seems
it's
to go to a bar.
Yeah.
It's at 20, well, the guy who bought the bar from me, he didn't like paying me rent after 2 years, so he bought that. It's at 25 years with no tenants.
Wow.
Yeah, there used to be a jewelry store, there were all kinds of things used to be.
But at that time, there was just one place to park, and nobody wanted to rent it that way.
Mhm.
Kind of tough.
Mhm.
Anyway, why he converted it to the bar, and the bar's still there.
Yeah.
It's done well.
Yeah.
They open at 4 in the afternoon and close at 3 in the morning, I think.
Fifth Street here where, which now you've got restaurants and stuff there, what's it called, used to be a bowling alley over there at one time, and then it was
Movie theater.
movie theater at one time. Well, yeah, it was where a lot of different things went in over there, and they were all locally owned, and people supported everything on it. So
In the
Yeah.
movie theater, I'd take my kids to it. It was 30 cents to get in.
25 cents for a beer, 30 cents for a movie. Wow.
The good old days.
Yeah. So let's circle back around to the lamps.
Okay.
Tell me about, if you can pick just one, your most favorite lamp that was built here. I know
Well,
there's a lot, but
So there's been many. The one I talk about most was, I had only been in business about a year or so, and it was about this tall, and it had a crank up here and a place for a hose down here, and it come out like this, and then there was a place the water was in, you know, and go up here to the hose. I mean to the crank, and a gynecologist brought it in, and I says, well, I don't know. And it was glass, and I had to drill a hole that big in the center to get the pipe down through.
oh
you know.
goodness.
And it was that much just for one spot, and there was two spots. And I had diamond drills to make it. So anyway, I did what he wanted, and he came to get a lampshade on it. He liked it, you know, the way it was. He says, boy, he says, this was 1848 World's Fair, main thing in Europe. I mean, it won
Wow.
and it was a douche bottle. He says, this will give the girls something to talk about. Gives the girls something to talk about while they're waiting on me.
That's hilarious.
I love telling that story.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was when I was,
We did many more of those, but they were
Oh.
newer versions.
yeah. People would bring something in, and I go, in my mind, you want that into a lamp? And they tell me what they want, and so on and so forth. And they basically design it. I was able to come up with the parts or whatever they wanted, drilling the holes and all, and turned out real good. It was their ideas. I was just able to do what they wanted. But some of them I'm going to say, get out of here with that. You know? When I needed the business, so.
Right.
Big thing was sports still, all the
Yeah.
chief players or baseball players would
Yeah.
bring in hats or footballs or baseball things or gloves and things, jerseys we'd make into lamps for them. That was a big thing. Hunters would bring, one of the neat ones I thought Dave did was a hunter, they were doing it for a friend of theirs. They had his boots, hunting boots, and then they had his own gun, and then they had some pictures, and we made this lamp for this whole thing. And he surprised him. That was
Had
really
a
neat.
third baseman for the Royals come in, and I think they were still called the Royals back then, but anyway, I made things for him into, like, the thing that catches the ball.
The glove.
The glove, yeah.
Mhm.
I made that into lamp for him, and then put a couple things, look like golf tees, you know, you could put a baseball on it and all.
Wow.
Well, he got traded to New York Mets, and back, I don't know, a couple years later, he came in, wanted a baseball bat made into a lamp for him. And I says, oh man, you know, I had to cut this much off of it to do
Yeah.
it, because I couldn't get that bit. He pushed the bit down, it was a long bit, and it started turning like this, so. Anyway, he made that and took it back to New York with him when he, you know, still third base out there, and showed it to these guys. 6 of them said, hey, can he do us?
Oh, wow.
And the first thing you know, the people who own the Mets sent me 100 bats.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. I had the bat, and then the 2 golf tees here, which they could sign baseball,
Mm-hmm.
you know, into the signatures on the guys,
Right.
and they had a place to put it there.
Wow.
But they really liked them,
That's cool.
and it's
So your work's all over the place.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People used to come,
Liquor bottles,
yeah, lots of liquor bottles.
yeah.
But people come, let's say, from New York or California or what, and they knew we were here and they're visiting friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they would bring me things to make into lamps while they're here for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And that was kind of interesting, you know. I had great help too.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
I
our
had
help was
really super
They're the
help.
ones that made the lamp.
They, you know, after a while,
2 of our guys that worked for us were retired, and one used to wire airplanes for TWA, and the other one wired telephones for, you know, AT&T. So they knew all that, and they knew every trick to everything, how to do and make some, and they would kind of get together, they do,
They
and
knew about
these are
two
their
things
retiring
I
years, and
didn't
they
know.
both still work for us over 20-some years.
Wow.
Each, they knew,
The one with TWA, I like telling this story. He came in and his wife came in, he wanted to see if I had some opening that he, and he told me he'd been retired 6 months from TWA and all that. So I said, well, what'd you do for TWA? He told me this and that, and I said, well, man, I'd like to have you, but I can't afford to pay you, you know, what you were getting. His wife shoved him aside. You don't have to pay him nothing. Just let him work. But we had some great employees working for us, and they knew how to put lampshades on lamps. We took inventory, and we had a little over 10,000 lampshades in inventory on the shelves here, because you could stack them.
Mm-hmm.
Little one on top of that, one, you know,
Nelson.
and so that's why we had plenty of space, but we kept enlarging it, and
I kept enlarging.
we had, yes, right.
Every time Dave went on another fishing trip, I knocked another wall, put something in there, and the employees will tell you that.
Yes, you did. You did a great job buying the lamps
Because I knew
too.
we had a deal that, you know,
Because
a business nobody.
I was kind of from a poor family growing up, so I didn't think people paid that much for a lamp, you know. But she bought the good ones and put them in the window here and stuff.
Yeah, I'm an
People
interior
stop
designer.
here at the stoplight and they'd back up, you know, they'd start shopping the window there, just, you know, waiting for the light to change. A lot of them go around, come back around, come in and buy a lamp.
Yeah, there you go. It's a great
You always
location
got-
for
and this-
that.
I mean, this is really considered the heart of Waldo right here. This is, so that's what the property is, I know, but, and that's what I'd like to see, and I think with them building that building and they're doing more things, I'm hoping, you know, people.
It's bringing more people into the area.
Waldo's like a unique area, it's historical, so that's the thing, I mean, if you saw the ceiling up under here, it's that old type ceiling stuff, but,
Yeah, we put all the ceiling in and the lights here you're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and rewired the whole thing. Was, I think this was built in 1922, I think.
Yep.
but we
Yeah.
lived and breathed it, not, Dave wasn't the only one that, but Dave hasn't worked the last years as much, he got to vacation time of going on fishing trips and hunting trips, and the girls and I ran it and the guys, but